Imagine a man who has lived his entire life in a dimly lit room. He knows the exact placement of the furniture. He knows the shadows. He has built a quiet, predictable kingdom in the dusk. Then, suddenly, the roof is torn off. The midday sun pours in. It is magnificent. It is life-giving. It is warm. But to the man in the room, it is blinding. It burns his eyes. It exposes the dust on his floor and the cracks in his walls. Does he look up and praise the sun? No. He covers his face. He retreats into the deepest, darkest corner of the room. He pulls a blanket over his head and convinces himself that the dark is better, that the sun is a threat. He does not hide because the sun is flawed. He hides because its brilliance demands that he adapt to the light. And adapting requires the death of everything he previously understood about his world. When a profound, otherworldly love enters the physical plane, it does not always arrive as a gentle breeze. Sometimes it arrives as a solar flare. You are watching someone look directly into the absolute truth of a cosmic bond. You see the recognition in their eyes. You feel the undeniable gravitational pull between your bodies. And yet, you watch their mouth form the words, "I don't feel anything." You watch them build fortresses of logic to explain away a miracle. You watch them choose a lukewarm, predictable existence over the profound fire of what you share. It defies reason. It defies logic. It creates a cognitive dissonance so sharp it can feel like madness to the one observing it. Today, we are going to dismantle this paradox. We are going to look beneath the mask of denial. We will step outside the realm of romantic fantasy and examine the exact psychological and spiritual architecture of why a soul would reject its own reflection. To understand the architecture of denial, we must first discard the language of the ego. We must stop viewing this through the lens of traditional romance. This is not about a lack of interest. This is about the terrifying mechanics of survival. Let us examine the internal landscape of the avoidant soul. From a psychological perspective, we must look at the human nervous system. The primary directive of the nervous system is not love. It is not spiritual ascension. It is safety. It is homeostasis. For decades, the avoidant soul has constructed a survival strategy based on control. They have learned to navigate the world by keeping their emotions compartmentalized. They keep their vulnerabilities hidden. They keep their environment predictable. This is their armor. It has kept them safe in a world that taught them a harsh lesson. At some point in their early development, they learned that it was dangerous to be fully seen. They learned that love comes with a heavy cost. They learned that vulnerability leads to pain. So they built a fortress. They became the master of their own isolated reality. Then, quantum entanglement occurs. They encounter you. This connection bypasses their cognitive defenses entirely. It does not knock politely on the front door of their intellect. It materializes instantly inside the locked vault of their subconscious. To the anxious heart, this sudden intimacy feels like a homecoming. It feels like the end of a long journey. But to the nervous system of the avoidant soul, this profound lack of boundaries registers as a life-threatening emergency. Their body literally perceives your unconditional love as a threat. The walls they spent a lifetime building are suddenly rendered useless. The love you offer demands that they step out of their fortress. It demands that they stand naked in the light. This is deeply dysregulating for a nervous system wired for isolation. The profound intimacy triggers an ancient alarm bell in their mind. It tells them to run. It tells them to hide. It tells them to shut down before they are consumed. Carl Jung spoke extensively about the shadow. The shadow contains the unexamined and repressed aspects of the psyche. Your presence acts as a flawless and unyielding mirror to their shadow. When they look at you, They do not just see your love. They see everything they believe makes them unworthy of that love. They see their unhealed trauma. They see their past compromises. They see the hollow spaces in the life they have built. They see the lies they have told themselves to survive. The intensity of your energy forces an ego death. The ego is the constructed identity they use to navigate the world. When the ego is threatened with annihilation, it will fight with a vicious and desperate strength. Denial, therefore, is not a weapon forged to hurt you. It is a shield raised to protect their fragile identity from disintegrating. It is a desperate act of self-preservation. When they say they do not feel anything, you must learn to translate their words. What their subconscious is actually saying is something entirely different. It is saying that if they admit they feel this, they will lose control of their reality. It is saying that if they let this in, they must change their entire life. And they are terrified. They choose the numbness of denial over the agonizing fire of transformation. They choose the familiar dark over the blinding sun. Furthermore, there is the phenomenon of energetic mirroring. Because your souls share a quantum blueprint, you are always communicating. Every expectation, every fear, and every ounce of pressure is transmitted across the ether. You cannot hide your internal state from them. When the holder of space directs intense and seeking energy toward the avoidant soul, it creates an energetic pressure cooker. Imagine trying to stand up in a room where the gravity suddenly multiplies by 10. The sheer weight of the unspoken expectations feels like a physical weight on their chest. They feel your spiritual demand for them to awaken. They feel your desperate need for them to realize the truth. They feel your silent pleading for them to step up and be the partner you know they can be. This invisible pressure is suffocating to someone already battling their own shadow. They deny their feelings because it is the only way they know how to turn off the gravity. It is a crude and desperate attempt to reclaim their sovereignty. They are trying to regain their footing in a dynamic that feels entirely out of their control. By denying the bond, they temporarily sever the energetic cord. They buy themselves a moment to breathe. Understanding this requires profound clinical compassion. You must see their coldness not as a rejection of your worth, but as a monument to their fear. They are not running from you. They are running from the massive and terrifying reflection of their own divine potential. They are running from the deep psychological work required to hold your frequency. They know on a cellular level that accepting this love means the end of their old life. It means taking absolute responsibility for their healing. This deconstruction is not meant to excuse their behavior. It is meant to free you from the illusion that their denial is a reflection of your inadequacy. Their inability to acknowledge the bond is not proof that the bond does not exist. It is simply proof that their psychological vessel is not yet strong enough to hold the ocean of this connection. It is about a nervous system in shock. It is about an ego fighting for its life. It is about a soul terrified of its own magnificent reflection. Now we must pivot. We must look away from their denial. We must turn the analytical lens inward. If you are listening to this, you possess a high degree of spiritual intelligence. You have done the deep psychological excavation, yet your brilliant intellect has been hijacked. It is trapped by a singular and agonizing question. You constantly ask yourself how to make them see the truth. You exhaust your life force trying to solve the puzzle of their resistance. But here is the paradigm shift that will shatter the illusion of your suffering. Their denial is not the obstacle to your spiritual expansion. Their denial is the exact instrument of your spiritual expansion. You have been viewing their resistance as a malfunction in the universe. You have viewed it as a cosmic error. You believe it is a tragic delay in your timeline. It is not a delay. It is the curriculum. It is the precise mechanism designed to push you into your ultimate power. Ask yourself a difficult question. Why would the universe orchestrate a connection of such profound magnitude, only to have the other person look you in the eye and reject the truth? The answer lies in your own energetic sovereignty. As long as you require their validation to confirm the reality of the bond, you are not sovereign. As long as you need them to say they feel it too, your spiritual equilibrium is entirely dependent on someone else. You are handing the keys to your reality over to the emotional capacity of an unawakened human being. The universe is using their denial to force you to find your own center of gravity. This pain is highly specific. The agonizing frustration of being unseen by the one who shares your soul is not a punishment. It is a necessary fire. It is the alchemy required to burn away your final attachments to external validation. You are being stripped of your reliance on the physical world to prove your spiritual knowing. You are being asked to become an absolute master of your own frequency. Think of the ocean. The ocean does not rise up and beg the shoreline to acknowledge its depth. The ocean does not shrink itself when it crashes against unyielding rocks. It does not question its own existence just because the sand cannot hold its vastness. It simply remains the ocean. It is deep. It is powerful. It is undeniable. Their inability to swim in your waters does not make your ocean any less real. Their blindness does not extinguish the sun. When you truly grasp this concept, everything changes. The heavy and suffocating cloak of waiting simply falls away. You stop standing guard at the door of their potential. You realize that their awakening is entirely their responsibility. Their nervous system regulation is their journey. Their shadow work is their mountain to climb. You cannot do the work for them. You cannot heal a mind that is committed to its own misunderstanding. You must let them walk their own path at their own pace. Your mountain is entirely different. Your mountain is learning to hold the absolute truth of love within your own vessel. It is learning to stand in the fire of this connection without requiring a single drop of proof from the external world. You are learning to be whole in the face of absolute rejection. This is the highest form of spiritual mastery. It is the ultimate detachment. You love them, but you no longer need them to understand that love. You no longer need them to reflect it back to you. This is the moment the dynamic flips. When you withdraw your need for their validation, the energetic pressure evaporates. You stop feeding the phantom of their avoidance. You reclaim all the life force you were bleeding into their timeline. You redirect that immense quantum energy back into your own physical body. You use it to build your own life. You use it to fuel your own purpose. Their denial ceases to be a tragedy. It becomes the very catalyst that forced you to remember who you truly are. You step out of the waiting room and into your empire. Understanding this dynamic intellectually is only the first step. Your mind has grasped the architecture of their denial. Your intellect understands the necessity of this paradigm shift. You have analyzed the mechanics of their avoidance. But intellectual understanding without energetic integration is merely philosophy. It is reading a detailed map without ever taking a physical step. The mind can comprehend the truth, but the nervous system often lags behind. To truly transmute this dynamic, you must change your internal posture. You must step out of the frequency of anxiety. You must step into the frequency of absolute power. This requires specific and deliberate internal movements. Right now, your energy is likely dispersed across time and space. You are projecting your consciousness outward. You are constantly scanning the physical reality for clues. You analyze their silence. You decipher their microscopic actions. You attempt to telepathically coax them into awareness. You wake up and immediately cast your energetic net into their world. This outward projection is not harmless. It actively drains your life force. It leaves your own physical vessel empty and exhausted. You are bleeding your vitality into a void. You must call your energy back. Think of your attention as a physical currency. Every time you wonder what they are thinking, you are spending that currency. Every time you check for a sign, you are giving your profound power away. You must initiate a hard energetic retraction. When you catch your mind spiraling into their internal landscape, stop immediately. Visualize pulling a heavy golden thread back into your own solar plexus. Anchor your awareness violently back into your physical body. Feel the weight of your feet on the floor. Feel the rhythm of your own breath. You cannot control their timeline, but you have absolute dominion over your own attention. Reclaim it entirely. As you reclaim your energy, you must fundamentally alter your relationship with time. The anxious heart often falls into a tragic trap. You become a spiritual sentinel. You stand guard at the door of the connection. You hold a lantern in the dark. You wait patiently for them to arrive. You put your own expansion on hold. You shrink your life down to the size of their indecision. But a life spent waiting is a life unlived. It is a profound disservice to your own soul. You must stop holding space for their potential. You must begin fiercely holding space for your own evolution. Take the immense and terrifying quantum energy generated by this bond. Redirect it entirely into your own purpose. Build your empire. Cultivate your art. Deepen your relationships with your community. Pour this intense frequency into your physical reality. Create a life so magnificent that it demands your full presence. When you stop waiting, a miraculous energetic shift occurs. You remove the invisible pressure from their chest. Paradoxically, it is only when you genuinely detach from the outcome that the avoidant soul feels safe. They can finally look at the connection without the suffocating fear of being consumed by your expectations. Your relentless focus on your own expansion is the only thing that creates true space between you. Finally, you must change how you process their resistance. When they exhibit denial, your ego naturally wants to take it personally. Your ego feels deeply rejected. It feels unseen and unvalued. It demands justice and recognition. You must elevate your perspective from the personal to the clinical. When they deny their feelings, observe it as a psychologist observes a reflex. See it exactly for what it is. It is a trauma response. It is a dysregulated nervous system attempting to establish safety. It is a shadow self desperately trying to avoid the searing light of your love. Their denial has absolutely nothing to do with your worthiness. It has nothing to do with your beauty. It has nothing to do with your intelligence. It does not invalidate the profound reality of the bond you share. It is simply a mechanical reaction to profound spiritual terror. It is the armor of a soul that has forgotten how to be safe in the presence of love. When you view their denial through the lens of clinical compassion, it instantly loses its power to wound you. You become an observer. You can watch their retreat without feeling the agonizing need to chase them. You can witness their deep confusion without absorbing their chaotic frequency. You remain perfectly untouched by their storm. You offer them the silent grace of your understanding, but you no longer offer them your peace of mind. You stand firmly in your own reality. You become an unshakable force of nature. You integrate the profound truth that your wholeness was never dependent on their awakening. The journey of the awakened heart is not for the faint of spirit. It requires a level of emotional alchemy that most human beings will never be asked to perform. You have been asked to hold the frequency of unconditional love in the face of absolute denial. Do not view this as a punishment. View this as your initiation. You are being forged into a sovereign being. You are learning to generate your own light rather than relying on the reflection from another soul. Let them have their denial. Let them rest in their dimly lit room for as long as they need. You do not need to pull them into the sun. You only need to remain the sun. Your peace is not contingent upon their realization. Your wholeness is not waiting for their return. You are already complete. You are already the ocean. Until next time, remain in your center. Remain in your power.